Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about 6 things that ASD parents want their children's teachers to know. Number 1, the social learning is just as important, if not more important, than the academic learning. Please be aware that our children have no idea sometimes how to interact with their peers. Sometimes they need help even to have a simple two-way conversation. Please don't take lack of seeking out social interactions as a sign that they're not interested in having social interactions. Sometimes they just find it difficult to know what to do, and it's easier to just avoid the situation altogether rather than try. Unlike academic learning, social learning is not easily measured, so I can understand why sometimes it gets forgotten a little bit. But as a parent, it's far more important to me that my child is taught every opportunity, all those social rules and the ways to interact with his peers and how to make friends and keep friends and how to be a good friend. And to me, that's a really important skill that I can't teach at home because I don't have a room full of his peers at home. Please consider speaking with them about who they're going to play with, what they are going to do at recess and lunch. And not only that, encourage them to try doing something that another child wants to do instead of insisting on them doing what they want to do. That being said, it's a difficult balance. Sometimes the downtime alone is really important, and the time playing on swings or generally being out and moving is important as well. So I guess it's finding that balance of keeping in the back of your mind, how are they going socially? Do they need help? Can I help them with a social interaction? Number 2, use visual aids and timers. All children do well with visual aids and timers, not just kids on the spectrum, but typical children as well. It's particularly important for children on the spectrum, but other children benefit as well. Use the timers to signify when one task is going to end and the next task is going to begin. Transitions are often hard for children on the spectrum, and having a timer that is visual, it can really help them to manage their time and manage their anxiety around one task finishing and another task beginning. Visual cues such as a visual planner for the day can really help. I use them at home all the time. I think every ASD's parents' favourite thing is the laminator, which I think we have in common with teachers. They also love to laminate. As a parent, I'm often happy to print and laminate things for them to use at school. So communicate with us and we'll come up with a plan. Beware of schedule changes. I really understand that often these things can't be avoided, and sometimes they cannot be planned. Sick leave, accidents, whatever, it happens in life, and that's okay. But when a schedule change is known, please let the children know as soon as you know, and just say, this is going to be different tomorrow, or this is going to be different this afternoon, and explain to them about how it's going to be different. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get an anxious kid that struggles a little bit with that, but you're at least setting them up the best you can for success. Fidget toys are great when you use them properly. It's been really great to see in recent years that sensory has been on a lot of people's minds. It's definitely become more of a mainstream sort of idea in childcares and schools, which is fantastic. A lot of stuff, that behaviours that we used to see as inattention or being naughty or whatever, we can see that it comes from a sensory place. Having fidget toys given to children as a way to dampen these behaviours works to an extent, but it only works when you're using those fidget toys to supplement the much bigger gross motor movements as well. If you look at a sensory diet, you're looking at the heavy work, which puts pressure on muscles and joints. Heavy work is like eating a slow acting carb. It's like eating a wholemeal bread. So it's gonna sustain the children for a lot longer. So things like jumping, swinging, all of those movement breaks that are becoming more mainstream, they're going to hold the children for longer. Having a fidget toy is like having a short burst of sugar or something that's going to be burnt up quite quickly, and it's going to lose its effectiveness, especially if it's being given to the children all the time. Please consider doing a webinar or attending the seminar called Traffic Jam in My Brain. It's a real eye-opener on the way to use those sorts of tools.
Is it hot in here? I'd better take off my sweater. Down with homework? Don't look at the children. The shirt makes a good point. I'm with the shirt. Homework rots.
Imagine that you have just spent 6 hours in a heavy traffic jam. You have unpredictable behaviour from the other cars. You're constantly on guard. You're feeling frustrated, tired, brain dead. And then you get home and somebody tells you that you need to sit down for an hour and use your brain for a further hour. How effective are you really going to be in your learning? The answer is not very effective. Even after working a full day of work, sometimes I come home and I'm completely brain dead. It's no different for our kids, and not only that, they have less resources to regulate that tiredness. Lots of parents with kids on the spectrum know and understand that after school is not a good time. The children have held it together all day at school, and then they come home and they will have a meltdown. Often people who see your child at school and they're so well behaved or they're well mannered, quite placid, wouldn't believe some of the reactions that you get at home from asking a simple task like put your bag in your bedroom. It's just too much for them. So having them sit down at a task that they might find difficult is just, it's not the time for it. Not only that, it's really important that our children and all children have a well-rounded life. So not only are they needing to come home, do their homework, go to their after-school activities, all of which are important. When's the time for them to go outside or spend time playing with their sister? Homework has historically been the number one thing we fight with our son about. And it's hard because as a parent, you want to try and do the right thing. You want your child to come to school and to have their homework done, because then that causes more anxiety when they haven't done whatever it is that they needed to do. I feel like you've got them all day. You need to try and get the learning done in that time. And I'm not talking reading. And reading for pleasure is really important. So if we can encourage our children to do that, I think that is far more important than sitting down at a worksheet. Thank you so much for everything that you do for our kids. It's a nice feeling to be able to drop them at school and to feel like they are safe and that they're being cared for. And a good teacher can really change a kid's life. Thank you also for doing all the extra questionnaires that we ask you to do for our paediatricians or our therapists. It's really appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to see all the good things there are about my child. I understand fully that our child is one of many and you have limited resources and time to have to do all the extra bits that you have to do, and it's just really appreciated. I know it's not an easy task, and I know that a lot of these things that we're learning around ASD and sensory and ADHD and all of these things are relatively new. So it is really appreciated when you find a teacher who is willing to listen and try different things. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.